The Anti-Defamation League is reporting that more than 9,300 incidents have happened for anti-Semitism in the last year. We can take a look at this. That's up nearly 350% over the past 5 years and nearly 900% over the past 10 years. What do you think's behind the rise, and do you feel like this disturbing trend is being ignored?
I do think it's being ignored by way too many people because Jews are only 2% of the entire country. So when this type of, hate is just everywhere, it is very hard, even if everyone in the Jewish community spoke up as a proud Jew and said, this is outrageous, it's not enough people. What's happening is there is a tsunami of hate that is coming across the country. And a lot of it has to do with blaming Jewish people for a war that is in another country that is in Israel. So I'll give you just an example of how frightening it is to be a Jew. I live in New York, and I was in a taxi with my daughter, and I started talking about maybe visiting my sister who lives in Jerusalem, and my daughter was with me, and she goes, shh. And I was like, why? She's like, and my daughter, Lily, she was nervous that the taxi driver would hear me talking about to Israel. But
something as simple as that.
It's always so interesting to hear about like the personal stories too. It's like the numbers mean a lot, but when I can't talk about a trip that I might be taking to visit my sister, or I have to worry about putting my Star of David into my sweater.
Right.
That's the kind of and these stories are all over the place. So when we see these kind of incidents that you're showing, it is because people are not speaking up.
So sadly, it's not just these incidents, it's filtering into your everyday life. And you holding up your Star of David there, I have other Jewish friends too who wear theirs, and they say sometimes they tuck them in when they're in certain situations because they feel threatened. And that's just absolutely sickening. We have a timeline of a few recent incidents. If we can pull that back up, and I'm just going to mention those. While you mentioned that Jews are just 2% of the population, I wonder how these types of incidents would be covered by the media and the way the general American population would feel about them if it was a different minority population. It was a different minority population and not Jews. So here, July 30th, a Jewish man wearing an IDF shirt was confronted and shoved. On August 5th, cars set on fire, anti-Semitic graffiti sprayed. August 7th, an investigation launched after a teacher allegedly threatens to go all Nazi on students. I mean, we've seen all sorts of issues like this. I mean, these are just this is in the last 8 days. If this was a different minority population, how do you think it'd be handled?
Oh, if this was a different minority population, if this was against the Black community or the Muslim community, people would be outraged. I mean, can you just imagine if there was a mosque set on fire? People would be outraged and they would be talking about it. And because it's the Jewish community, you're showing it, but it's not going to be all over the news. And I appreciate you so much talking about it, but it's being way, way, way too often. Not only is it being ignored, but it's sort of there's this feeling like, well, it's the Jews and it's for some reason it's excused. I mean, people speak, you mentioned, how afraid students are on campus, and some people are, the government is taking steps about holding back some of the funding at different schools that you mentioned exactly on college campuses.
Right.
And some people are all angry about that. And our issue, or my answer to that is, well, what did you expect to happen? I mean, when Jewish students are barred from going to class, and professors are literally holding students, Jewish students, responsible for a war that's across the world, and people who run our colleges are letting students camp out with hate in the front of, on the college campuses. Did they just expect that to go on and on forever?
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.